Amish, and in particular this horrible tragedy that happened in the community a few years ago, quite a while ago. So I grew up in DC, and I remember going to this Maryland beach where the Amish were, and they would always sell their pies. The thing about the Amish is, it seems some people think it's kind of culty, but I don't think it is. But I want to just talk a bit about the Amish, their practices, and get into what happened that devastated this community. Oh, so if you haven't already done so and you like my content, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It would be much, much, much appreciated. I know it's interesting. I don't think the Amish is a cult. I wouldn't describe it as that. It's just, a religion that's kind of branched off from the Christian church. They live pretty peaceful lives. They're kind of living this life that's based in olden times, and they don't really mix with what's going on right now in the new and modern world. They don't try to go out there and convert people to be Amish. They just stay to themselves. If anything, they just don't want people to leave the community. They really want you to stay in the community. So this is, whatever, that's just how they operate, right? So the Amish, formerly known as the Old Order Amish, are a group of traditional Anabaptist Christian church fellowships in Swiss, Germany, and Alsatian origins. They are closely related to the Mennonite churches. The Amish are known for simple, plain living, plain dress, Christian pacifism, and slowness to adopt to the many conveniences of modern technology, with a view neither to interrupt family time nor replace face-to-face conversations whenever possible, and a view to maintain self-sufficiency. The Amish value rural life, manual labor, humility, and submission to God's will. So most Amish speak Pennsylvania Dutch. Ohio seems to be the state that is home to the most amount of Amish people than any other state in the country. All the rules in the Amish community, including a specific night routine, Amish Sunday rules, Amish rules for women, and many, many more, are contained in what is called the Amish Ordnung. This is a set of unwritten rules that govern all aspects of Amish life. The Ordnung isn't static. It changes as the community evolves. However, the basic principle always remains the same, and it's passed down from generation to generation, and everyone in the community is expected to follow it. Amish people are required to attend church every Sunday. They read Amish Bible verses just like Christians do, and failing to attend church can lead to shunning. Now, not shunning in the sense that I would think, where you just never talk to the person again. The Amish laws for women dictate that women should wear conservative clothing. This includes long dresses, bonnets, and aprons. Men should wear plain clothes without any flashy embellishments, and if you're caught dressing inappropriately, you may be shunned. According to Amish teachings, those who are shunned are still considered members of the community. They are just not allowed to participate in social activities, and shunning is seen as a way of motivating quote-unquote offenders to change their ways and repent for their offenses. Personal communication doesn't stop because you are shunned. Family members can still send letters or gifts to the person who has been shunned. girls barricaded the front door, and he ordered the girls to line up against the chalkboard, and he allowed the pregnant woman, 3 parents with infants, and all the remaining boys to exit the school. One girl, 9 years old, Emma Fisher, escaped without her older sister, and during the interviews conducted later, all of the girls recognized negotiate with that guy and put their own lives on the line, saying, do it to us first, to give the other girls time. Those babies were so brave, I can't even imagine. Rest in peace